I'm considering hiring a very pricey career coach to help me get jobs. That's the question that kicks off today's deep dive. It's one of those crossroads moments where confidence, money, and desperation all collide in a very human way. We've all been there, the job search funk where every application feels like shouting into a void. Today, we're exploring what happens when someone wonders if paying big bucks for a promised solution is the golden ticket, or just an expensive band-aid. So let's step away from the big emotional stakes for a moment and zoom into the story itself. One person, one messy layoff, and one very shiny, very costly offer of hope.
A job seeker who was laid off after a rough experience has been searching for 4 months, feeling stuck, discouraged, and full of imposter syndrome. They found a pricey coaching service online that promises 100% job placement, hidden job leads, and confidence building. They're torn between wanting help and fearing they're being taken advantage of, especially since finances are tight. They want to know, are these services worth it? Has anyone actually gotten hired because of one? With the vulnerability of that question hanging in the air, the community responded with a wide mix of caution, humor, and lived experience. Let's explore what people had to say.
Just a quick welcome to Better Life FAQs. If you want more simple, practical answers like this, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Now, let's continue.
First up, someone came in with the energy of a financial bodyguard. They warned that a 100% guarantee is suspicious and suggested only paying after placement, while noting that pricey coaches are usually for executives. This is the kind of advice that slices straight through panic. The idea of paying only after the job lands is brilliant because it shifts the risk back where it belongs, on the service, not the job seeker. Guarantees sound comforting, but without clear terms, they can be loophole factories. They could technically offer you the first low-wage role that pops up and call it a win. The point about executive-level coaching makes sense. C-suite roles involve branding, negotiation, and structured narrative work. But that doesn't mean earlier career coaching never helps. Sometimes the benefit is clarity, accountability, or just having someone dismantle your unhelpful mental loops. Still, the core message stands: when you're scared, you're more likely to spend impulsively. Imagine being offered a guaranteed job only to discover it's a commission-only role selling vacuums door to door. Technically a job, right? This comment reminds us that boundaries and skepticism are not negativity. They're self-protection. If a coach can't share the risk, that's a red flag. After that strong dose of practical caution, another viewer leaned into humor to make the point even sharper.
Enter the commenter whose cat is apparently a licensed career coach. They argued career coaches are rarely worth the money, and that networking in your industry is far more effective, punctuated by a joke about unregulated coaching standards. This perspective hits on something we don't talk about enough. The coaching industry is the Wild West. Anyone can call themselves a coach, slap up a website, and start charging fees. Their humor softens the blow, but the underlying warning is solid. Networking is often where real leads come from because it's rooted in actual relationships, not formulas. If you've ever attended a coaching session that feels like generic advice you could get from a free blog, you know what they're talking about. But here's the nuance. Some people do need structure to break out of paralysis. A coach isn't always about secret knowledge. Sometimes they're the accountability partner you weren't able to be for yourself. Still, relying on networking builds confidence in a way that paying someone may not. Imagine talking to 5 people in your industry and getting a warm intro to a hiring manager. That's more powerful than any template. The humor here hides a real reminder. Not all paid help is created equal. Of course, not everyone was anti-coach. One viewer actually had a positive but cautious story to tell.
Next, someone who actually hired a coach and survived to tell the tale. They said coaching helped reshape their networking and interviewing, but cautioned about contracts, refunds, and the fact that much paid content is basically ChatGPT in a blazer. This comment is refreshingly grounded. The viewer acknowledges real value. Someone breaking down bad habits, rebuilding confidence, and providing strategy. but they also expose the industry's smoke and mirrors. A lot of the materials are recycled templates or AI-generated scripts. It's like paying premium prices for knowledge that's already floating around free online. What matters is that they found growth in the mindset shift and structure. Their warning about contracts is essential. If a company promises results and doesn't deliver, you want a clear refund clause. Imagine paying thousands only to hear, "Well, we tried." The comment also brings up a crucial emotional reality. When someone is vulnerable, flattery feels like healing, even if it's part of a sales funnel. Their story is a reminder to separate emotional validation from practical value. The balanced message: coaching can help, but don't assume price equals effectiveness. Following that nuanced take, another voice stepped in with advice aimed at lowering the risk entirely.
One viewer said, before committing, test the waters. They suggested trial periods, asking for references, and verifying guarantees before spending anything. This is one of the most empowering angles in the whole thread. Instead of choosing between buy or don't buy, they offer a middle path: assess, test, and vet. It reminds the job seeker that they have agency, something that often gets lost after a traumatic layoff. Trial periods let you judge whether the coaching feels helpful or salesy. References reveal whether past clients actually landed meaningful roles or just entry-level placeholders. And verifying guarantees protects you from being dazzled by promises that don't hold up under scrutiny. Imagine discovering their guarantee is just offering interview prep for 90 days, not job placement. This advice brings clarity into an emotionally foggy moment. It says, you don't need to leap, you can step. And then from inside the industry itself came a voice of candid honesty.
A career coach chimed in, and surprisingly, they were skeptical too. They warned that 100% guarantees are unrealistic, encouraged asking tough questions, and stressed checking past clients before signing anything. Hearing caution from a professional adds instant credibility. This coach acknowledges the truth. Job markets are unpredictable, and no one can guarantee placement without cutting corners. Their advice shifts focus from promises to process. What exactly does the company do? How do they do it? And what's the timeline? These questions pull the conversation from desperation into strategy. Asking about past clients is especially powerful. A legitimate coach welcomes transparency. A shady one deflects. The coach's admission that not everyone needs paid help reflects integrity and also reframes coaching as a tool, not a cure. Imagine asking a company about their success rate and hearing only vague anecdotes. That tells you everything. This comment gives the job seeker something they desperately need: permission to be skeptical. But not every comment was gentle. One viewer cut straight to the chase.
One person had just one word: don't. Their entire stance was a blunt warning not to trust Pricey coaching services. Sometimes a single word carries the weight of a whole paragraph of emotion. This viewer clearly sensed the vulnerability in the original post and wanted to stop a potentially harmful decision immediately. It's protective, even if abrupt. The bluntness might lack nuance, but it acknowledges an uncomfortable truth. Some of these services prey on insecurity. When your confidence is shaken, even wild promises can feel like lifelines. This comment snaps the listener back to reality. Still, the simplicity of the warning overlooks that some coaching can help under the right conditions. It's a good gut check, not a universal rule. Picture someone pulling your sleeve as you walk toward a flashing 100% guaranteed sign. Sometimes the instinct matters more than the explanation. Then, balancing that intensity, another commenter offered a fully fleshed out success story from the other side of the spectrum.
Someone who paid a lot for coaching and actually loved it stepped in. They described excellent support, helpful tools, personalized guidance, rapid responses, and real confidence gains. They admit they didn't need it, but it made their job search stronger. This is the nuanced success story people rarely hear. The viewer isn't romanticizing the service or claiming it changed their life. Instead, they emphasize structure, clarity, and accountability. Those elements matter deeply when confidence is cracked. They also chose a provider with real industry expertise, which is a massive difference compared to generalist coaching. Specialized support can decode how tech and fintech hiring actually work, something generic advice doesn't touch. Their honesty about not needing the service makes the endorsement feel genuine rather than promotional. It's also interesting how putting money on the line became a motivator, turning the experience into something like a personal trainer for career habits. The logic they outline, faster job offers, higher pay, reduced stress, gives a clear rubric for deciding whether the investment is worth it. Not everyone will get value, but for the right person at the right moment, it can work. Their story isn't about magic, it's about momentum. Next, someone pulled us back to the basics, starting with one very important question.
A viewer simply asked, "What does pricey actually mean?" They wanted the original poster to specify the actual number behind the vague word pricey. It's a simple question, but one that cuts through the emotional haze. When you're overwhelmed, even a moderate price can feel huge, and that perception can distort decisions. Asking for a number shifts the conversation from fear to facts. $1,000 is very different from $6,000. It also draws attention to whether the cost matches the service level. Sometimes just saying the price out loud makes you realize whether it aligns with your financial reality or if it's crossing a boundary. And for a community trying to give advice, specifics help. Without the number, everyone's answering a question with a missing variable. It's like evaluating a car without knowing the mileage. This question gently steers the conversation toward practicality. Now that grounded approach flowed nicely into another comment, one rooted in real experience with severance-based services.
Then came someone whose coaching was included with severance and who found surprising value. They said resume writing and seminars were extremely helpful, while the coaching itself was only mildly useful. They emphasized that 100% guarantees are nonsense. This comment highlights something a lot of people discover. The real value in career services often isn't the coach, it's the tools. Resume refinement, educational workshops, and templates can transform your job search because they give you structure and clarity. When you've been out of the market for years, everything has changed. Formats, expectations, tone, keywords. Their experience is relatable. The advertised one-on-one support isn't always the star of the show. But the real gem here is their honesty about guarantees. Job placement can't be promised without marketing tricks. It's refreshing when someone reminds you that hype and results are not the same thing. Their advice to research top companies reinforces that not all services are equal, and that due diligence prevents disappointment. This is wisdom earned the slow, steady way. Finally, someone broke down what most coaches actually do behind the scenes.
The last viewer revealed the real playbook behind coaching services. They explain that most coaches help optimize your resume and LinkedIn, guide networking outreach, and sometimes connect you to people in your industry. But it's mostly structured networking, not hidden secrets. This comment demystifies the coaching process in a way that feels empowering. There's nothing wrong with structure, templates, or accountability, but it's important to know what you're actually buying. Their point that the hidden job market is just networking is both comforting and clarifying. It means you're not missing out on secret portals. The opportunities come from people, not magic. The emphasis on industry knowledge is key. A coach who doesn't understand your field is essentially guessing, no matter how confident their tone is. Imagine taking interview advice from someone who's never hired in your industry. It won't land. Their breakdown shows that much of what coaches offer is actionable, but also replicable if you have the discipline or guidance from free resources. It removes the sparkle and leaves behind the substance. And with that final perspective, we can step back and look at the bigger picture.
Across all these viewpoints, a theme emerges. Coaching can help, but only when it's grounded in transparency, industry knowledge, and realistic expectations. What makes the difference isn't the price tag or the promise. It's whether the service empowers you rather than capitalizes on your vulnerability.
So what do we make of all this? First, a pricey guarantee is only as good as the fine print behind it. Second, coaching isn't magic. It's structure, accountability, and sometimes emotional support. Third, free or low-cost resources can often give you 80% of what a high-end coach provides. Fourth, if you do consider paying, ask hard questions. What's the process? What's the timeline? Who actually benefits? And finally, remember that no service defines your worth or your potential. You're rebuilding confidence after a messy chapter, and that alone shows growth. Trust your instincts, gather information, and make the choice that aligns with both your finances and your self-respect. As we ease out of this analysis, let the noise settle and hold on to the calm recognition that the job search doesn't define you. Your resilience does.
Thanks for spending time reflecting on this journey. Whether you choose a coach, a community, or a new strategy entirely, may your next steps feel lighter and more grounded. Until next time, take care of yourself and trust your path.